to order the regular meeting of the St. Louis Local Development Company. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Director Peoples,
Here.
Director Rabu,
Here.
Director McCreary,
Present.
Director Sites,
Here.
Chair Gilbert.
Mine is cutting out.
There was a roll call and you missed it.
Yeah, it's my system is cutting out. Jim, you may have to run the meeting.
Just say aye. All right.
I'm here.
I'm present.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jim.
Keep going, Laura, till you cut out again, or what?
Well, why don't you take it over? Because it looks like it's going in
Okay.
and out on my end. I'm sorry to do that to you.
No problem. Looks
we're
like
fine.
the next item here is approval of minutes from the February 13th meeting. So they've been distributed. I guess everybody's had a chance to review them. If that's the case, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I don't have, I can't find the things. Anyway.
So moved.
All right, do I hear a second? I'll second it if I can.
You can second.
Okay, we'll go ahead and poll the board.
Director Peoples,
Abstain. I was absent.
Director Rabu,
Aye.
Director McCreary,
Pass, I can't find it yet.
Director Sites,
Aye.
Chair Gilbert.
Hi.
Okay, it's been properly moved, seconded, and approved. So we'll move on to resolution 25-LDC 02. Appointing Connie Johnson to the board. Looks like Zach, you're the presenter on this.
I believe you skipped one.
Oh, okay, yeah, LDC 04, that's Roger. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
The Antelope Community LLC.
Yeah, Arbolope. Anyway, this is Arbolope. They basically are as far as I can tell, they are landscape architects, and they are here today. And I'm going to ask them to talk in just a second. But basically, what we're doing is we're taking the gross debenture and we're increasing it from 289,000 to 411,000. When they originally did their cost, they did that, and then we took it to SBA and took it to our committee, and then they had it ended up being a little bit more down the road, so we increased it. And so anyway, the total project is $999,151. The bank portion is $449,576. And then, of course, our debenture is 411,000. And then they're putting in 149,915 as equity. They are going to create probably about 4 jobs. They do not really have to be held by that jobs restriction because the owner is a woman and considered a minority, and they do not have to meet that job criteria. So anyway, the 2 individuals are here today, and they've done well. They had a little hiccup last year, but this year they're doing real well in 2025. So anyway, the hiccup last year was basically, it's a matter of a lot of the costs were run through them, and they had a couple other little things that happened, and so anyway, their costs were kind of high. So that has all been taken care of, and they're keeping track of that now, and those are a lot related to the new project, the new real estate. When they moved in, they had a lot of costs that they kind of came up when they moved in. So anyway, I want to introduce Irene. And Irene, how do you pronounce your last name? Oh, you guys are on mute.
All right, sorry about that.
Hi,
No, no problem.
Hey,
it's Tiene, and my last name is Compadre. But
Compadre. Okay, well, you say it better than I do. So.
a different way to say it.
All right. Anyway, Irene is actually the 100% owner, and her husband is with her, Michael Powell, and he kind of runs a lot of the day-to-day operations. She is actually an instructor, a teacher also at WashU, I think, and so she gets taken away a lot in a lot of different directions, and Michael tries to keep everything kind of together. So anyway, I thought I'd leave it to them and let you guys maybe just kind of say kind of what you do and you know maybe a little bit about the project but anyway, if you could, thanks.
Thank you so much, and pleasure to be with all of you here today. So like I said, I'm Irene Compadre. I founded Art Blow Studio 2013, and we've been going pretty strong since then. We're a landscape architecture primarily, but also urban design and public art practice. We've always been in the city. Moved from Midtown to the Grove and now Botanical Heights, and are super excited that this is going to be our forever home. Some projects you might know of ours, we do work very civic, very publicly focused work. So of our larger projects, we worked on the East End transformation at Washington University, the new visitor center at the Missouri Botanical Garden, and the landscape, you know, in front and behind that. The new convention center expansion that just wrapped up. And then we do a lot of community-based projects. So you might be familiar with Love Bank Park on Cherokee Street, a new public space at Nebraska and Cherokee that opened up about a year ago. And Peace Park in the College Hill neighborhood, which is also a new community park in a neighborhood that had no community parks until now. And so we very much love St. Louis, and we're happy to be here.
I'm Michael Powell, Director of Marketing and Public Art. As Roger pointed out, I handle a lot of the day-to-day business operations here. When we were founded in 2013 by Irene, we were a staff of 2. Flash forward 12 years later, we are a staff of almost 15 if you count our summer interns, which, you know, as one should. Not including the dog, of course, even though she's HR. So yeah, we're growing, we're expanding. We're really excited about this next chapter. You can kind of see our new office in the background here. From 2015 through to when you all helped us acquire and build out this new building, we were in an office of about 1,200 square feet. And so you can imagine that as we reached our current size, that became untenable. Food, you know, eating on top of drawings, on top of models, on top of each other, it was horrible. But now that we've moved into this new, this newly reconditioned building, we've expanded to roughly, I want to say our office space is now over 4,000 square feet. So essentially quadrupled our available space. This has opened up desk space for additional hires, which is how we're at our current size now. It's also created an opportunity for us to take on some small tenants, including a pottery studio here in the building, and a quite well-known architectural photographer. And so those tenants not only contribute to our paying our monthly liabilities, but also contribute to the sort of culture of the space and bringing the community into our office. So it's been wonderful. And we got our occupancy and moved in, I want to say late February, early March. So it's still early days. We've only been in here about 3 or 4 months, but it is heavenly.
Yeah, boxes are unpacked. Boxes are unpacked. Art is not fully on the wall yet.
That's right.
That's where we are.
So Roger, just for the rest of the board, I think Dave and Laura and I were on the review committee. This new request is for 411,000, and we had previously approved it for how much?
Or 289,000.
So it's an increase of whatever
And
the
that's
difference is.
correct, and that's a debenture amount.
Yeah, and it's just due to some increased cost.
Right.
Just so we've already approved this once. So I don't know, does anybody have any questions for them? Okay, I think this is pretty
Well,
straightforward.
I think they should explain why that we've got a cost increase. When did we approve this originally, Roger?
You approved it on April 13, 2023.
Okay,
Okay, so, and it was, a lot of the 504s are done, before they start, obviously before they start construction. So they're really looking at it and making an estimate with their contractors and that. And so then, so anyway, I'll let them explain it, but it was just really, I think, just normal costs. I think it was just things that just costed a little bit more than they had estimated in the beginning.
well, I'm sure they have some specific examples they would like to share with us.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, David, that's an astute question. As Roger said, we sort of got all this through with you guys in April of 2023. Construction wrapped up again February 2025. So there was just an extensive construction period. And part of the early part of that construction period, as you all know, with demolition, you find a lot. And so there were a number of things that we found in the early part of construction that had high impact on construction costs. And on top, which I'll go over in a second, but on top of that, of course, over a 1.5 year period, we just globally, we saw a huge increase in construction costs in terms of cost of raw materials, in terms of the allocation of construction resources, in terms of personnel. People were more expensive, materials were more expensive. So when it came time to actually purchase things, we just saw a huge cost increase.
Did you make any changes in design or add anything in terms of what was going on? Or it's primarily the concept is there, but you found some things, which we do in rehab projects.
Yes,
Found some things that need to be addressed before you could proceed with it, or what?
exactly. So a great example, I'll only bore you with one but it's a big one, was we knew from initial site observations and walkthroughs with our structural engineer and our building architect that there may be some structural shoring that needed to be done on the easternmost wall of the building. It was listing to a certain percentage. It looked unsafe. We weren't sure. We weren't sure what was causing the listing and whether or not shoring would be sufficient. We budgeted a substantial amount of money to put in structural bracing on the joists and to do some exploratory digging. When we dug down to the foundation level to explore why the wall was listing, we came up against sort of this hybrid combination of sort of intense settling and a sewer lateral break. And what we ended up having to do was actually take the entire wall down about 2/3 of the way and rebuild it up as essentially a new wall. So you can imagine the costs.
I take it it's brick.
It's brick, yeah.
Okay.
Three wide brick. So as you can imagine the increase in costs associated with that. And so there were projects like that cropped up throughout the construction process, which weren't a change in direction. They were simply just responding to new conditions.
Okay.
I just want to highlight something too, though, and it's a good thing. So you have a strong book of business, and a lot of them are institutions that aren't impacted greatly by, economic variances. So correct. Can you just talk to some of the projects that you're currently working on, or some of your strong institutional partners that you're working with now?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll let you speak to some of this, obviously, too. You know this even more than I do, but I think one client to highlight on here, which is not a past client, but is a new client this year, is the Great Rivers Greenway. And so we currently have 3 projects on the book with them, one of which is a really important section of the Brick Line Greenway. The Brick Line Greenway section that we are leading in terms of the planning and design of it will go from Market Street in Compton, where at the southern corner where SLU and Harris Stowe meet, and it'll snake all the way up through past Slough and Harristow, through Midtown Alley, all the way up through Grand Center and past all of the museums and hit Vandeventer. This is a new project that is on our books this year, and we're really excited about that. We're also working on some work down on the riverfront and the Mississippi Greenway for them. So they've been a really wonderful partner.
Yeah, and Michael points out it's a new client for us, and pretty exciting to have 3 projects this year with them. And then some of our existing clients, one of our largest projects right now is for Washington University on one of their expansion projects that hasn't been impacted by the general kind of construction pause on some of their other projects. So it's one of theirs that continues to move forward. So that's pretty exciting.
We are under an NDA, so we wish we could give more information, but suffice it to say, it's going to radically redefine one of the public faces of the university. It's a really important project.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved by Peoples.
Second, McCreary.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Director Peoples, seconded by Director McCreary. Will you poll the board?
Yes. Director Peoples,
Yes.
Director Rabu,
Aye.
Director McCreary,
Aye.
Director Sites,
Aye.
Chair Gilbert.
Aye.
It's been properly moved, seconded, and approved. So congratulations, and look forward to getting this one closed.
All
Thank
right,
you
thank
all.
you guys very much.
I look forward to hosting you all here soon.
That'd be
Okay,
great.
sounds great. You don't have to stick around. But anyway, thank you very much for coming.
Thank
Have a
you
great
all so
weekend.
much.
You too.
We appreciate you bringing it to us, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so next is resolution LDC 02, appointing Connie Johnson to the board. And that looks like Zach, you're handling that one.
Yes. So this resolution seeks, as it says in the title, to appoint Ms. Connie Johnson to the board. As a bit of background, we've had the executive director of Slate on the board for a pretty long time, as far as I've been with the board. So I think the best thing to do, since Ms. Johnson is here today, I'll pass it to her to introduce herself.
Okay, well, good afternoon. Pleasure meeting all of you remotely. I met some of you yesterday, so good to see you again. My name is Connie Johnson. I'm the recent appointed director for Slate. I've been in this seat since May 2nd, but it feels like May 2nd, 2000. There's a lot going on right now. A hell of a time to start a job, within a tornado and everything else. So it's been a busy time. For those of you who may not be aware, I'm a former lawmaker for the state of Missouri. I served as a state rep from 2000 to 2008. And after I got out of the General Assembly, I moved to DC and started my career in federal service, where I started with the Air Force at the Pentagon. I worked for the General Counsel there. Spent about 2 years there, went to the Department of the Interior for a couple years, and then went to Export-Import Bank of the United States before I moved back to Missouri and took a position as Deputy General Counsel for the Missouri Department of Revenue. Didn't stay there too long. There was a major political change there at the state level, and came back here to St. Louis and served here as Assistant Treasurer for 3 years. In 2021, I went back to my DOD, Department of Defense days at Scott Air Force Base, and had been serving as an attorney for the United States Army until May 2nd. Well, technically, I still am. I took advantage of the deferred resignation program. So I am still technically a federal employee, but granted permission to seek outside employment. I'm a single mom, got a teenager that's starting St. Louis University High School. Very excited about that. He's athletic, and so I'm the mother of an athlete. And that is my full-time job, to get him to practice and to keep him fed. So we're pretty excited. Yeah, he's going to regionals for track. He does discus, shot put, and javelin. And if he succeeds, we'll be going to the Junior Olympics in Houston in July. So send us positive vibes so we can go to
Yeah.
Houston. But other than being I'm a very active sports mom. I'm also active on a couple of community organizations, including the Bear YMCA, the Simmons Bank Advisory Board, and the St. Louis City NAACP. So that's pretty much me. I'm a native of Chicago, grew up in North St. Louis, and I'm very happy to be here, and looking forward to serving and working with you all on this board.
Great. I do have to say, it's a pretty impressive resume you have. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you.
So I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but we can approve this at this time. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Connie to the board.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay,
Second.
moved by
Second, I'll
Nichols
second.
and seconded by Director Gilbert. Will you poll the board?
Director Peoples,
Yes.
Director Rabu,
Aye.
Director McCreary,
Aye.
Director Sites,
Aye.
Chair Gilbert.
Well, congratulations, Connie, and welcome to the board.
Thank
Work.
you.
Absolutely.
Forward to
Welcome
meeting
aboard.
you. Us that have not met you, look forward to it.
Likewise. Likewise. Thank you.
Okay, Zach, are you going to handle the next item, I guess, some modification requests?
Yes, I will.
Okay,
So we have 3 modification requests here, and I'll go into each of them one by one. So the first one is for Global Furniture LLC. Sorry, I'm getting feed. Okay. But Global Furniture LLC, so they recently with the tornadoes had roof damage to their property and are seeking a little bit of respite from their current loan for 6 months of interest-only payments as they're working through trying to figure out how to move forward. And then also they're currently in litigation with their insurance company, which, as you can see from the memo sent to you all, if you had a chance to read it today, is supposed to take place in August of this year. So hopefully with this a little bit of a respite from payments, from principal payments at least, they'll be able to get back on track with getting their roof back on and getting things moved. As far as we've heard, there's a lot of business happening for the company, but they're not necessarily able to meet the demand that they're getting because of this damage to their roof. So that is our current recommendation for that particular loan modification. The second one is
we,
for.
let me
Oh,
interrupt.
sorry.
Should we
Yeah.
vote on these separately?
I am not sure exactly on voting for this. I think Linda, you might be able to provide a little bit more clarification on that.
Yeah, we were kind of down to the wire trying to get information from the borrowers yet. And I think what we wanted to do is just get the request to you now, see if you had any problems or, I mean, we could come back next month with a formal resolution, but we kind of wanted to get your approval so that we could respond to the request and kind of let the borrowers know what to expect.
So we're not going to vote, but we want to make sure the board's okay with what you're presenting here, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or if there's any other changes you want to make, or, these were just kind of
Yeah,
things that
why don't
we
we
threw out.
Kind
so-
of take these one at a time. So
Right.
anybody have any discussion or problem with this first one? Anybody, I mean, I'm okay with this. I think Laura reviewed
Yeah,
it. She's okay with this.
yeah. I
And
think that I'm okay with this. I think we need consistent in how we're responding to these requests. especially ones that are tornado related, because the ones we see. So we just need to make sure we're consistent.
Okay.
So this is going to be
Yeah,
like a
cut out
template.
again.
Sorry.
Well, I would think we take them case by case, but, I think just depends on the situation. I don't know that it's one size fits all for each case, but,
Yeah, there may not be, but I just think we want to make sure that we're not going too far one way or another. Because, we need to, if it comes back on us, why did we treat one differently than the other? We just want to make sure we document everything.
and this, we're at least getting paid the interest, so,
Yes.
making payments still.
Yes. Yeah, that was my question. So all these are always been current. None of them is as due.
The first one's current, I believe, isn't it, Zach?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
The first one is, they're 1 month behind on their interest payment, but that actually happened a couple months ago, more than a couple months ago, and they've continued to make payments every month. So it's not the 1 month was an issue, as I say, a couple 3 months ago.
Do they still owe a payment or a payment down still?
They still owe one payment, yes, sir.
Okay. And that's a full payment?
That's correct.
So,
I believe
I
with
agree.
I think
Sorry.
it would be a good
Okay.
idea to kind of give a synopsis of what's going on in this for our new members and me. And what you're asking specifically for us to do.
Yes, so with Goebel, so they were originally approved back in August of 2022. They're a furniture manufacturer located on the North Riverfront. So they use these funds to purchase additional equipment to expand into a new line of business for them. They were typically very high end and very custom made furniture. And using this equipment, they were able to expand a little bit more into, I wouldn't necessarily call it mass produced furniture, but more mass produced than their custom or typical custom made furnitures. And so they are requesting this particular freeze on their principal payments and interest only payments for 6 months in order to get back on their feet from storm damage to their roof, which has caused about 30% of their roof to come off and is causing them to have to take the water out constantly and really making it to where they're not able to operate on a regular basis with their business. So our particular recommendation on this one is to have interest only payments for 6 months as they're working both to figure out plans on trying to get their business back up and running at full steam and also work through the litigation that they currently have with their insurance company to get paid out for those repairs.
So in line with Laura's suggestion point, which I agree with, I think we need to have some consistent treatment for everyone. Do you have an estimate of what percentage of the portfolio could potentially be affected? And if assuming we don't, all of those people, worst case scenario, apply to be exempt, to be interest only for the next 6 months, would there be any impact to any of to anything?
As far as I know, I don't think we have anybody else who's been affected, at least has not come forward with their effect. Linda or Chris, I guess, would you guys know anything particular with that with our portfolio?
I'm sorry. I would say at this point, not at all. I mean, I'm looking at it as the ability to fund loans. And we almost got $4.5 million available to make business loans with. And so if we defer something, I don't think it's going to affect our ability to meet needs, at least in the foreseeable future.
And I did kind of look through our loan portfolio. I think the only other business is one on Delmar. I haven't heard anything from her, so perhaps she wasn't damaged, but we really don't have too many businesses located in that path of construction.
I'm just gonna ask a simple question. So what's keeping them from bringing them? So they missed the payment. So what's keeping them from bringing that current before we grant them this? Or is that abnormal business practice? To me, it says I don't have an issue with going interest only, but where's the accountability for the fact that they missed the payment?
Yeah, I think as part of this, and Linda, you can correct me if I'm wrong, our recommendation is that they become current with it.
Okay.
That's the same on the next one with Freddie Lee's as well, that they become current with at least their interest payments before putting them on to interest only. So that would be part of it.
Well, yeah, it seems like they were a good business. They just got hit with a bad circumstance, so I don't have any issues with it.
Okay, well, it sounds like we're probably okay with you doing a resolution for the next meeting, kind of as Zach's outlined here. So
That's fine.
should we move on to the Freddie Lee's?
Yes. So with this one, we've had some conversations in the past as well with Freddie Lee's. So there's a couple circumstances that are causing it difficult for them. First of all, to keep going with their regular payments. They're having issues with keeping tenants in their building. But also in general, when we originally made this loan request, we did it for 3 years. And at that time, we had the intention to convert it into an SBA 504 loan. And the 3-year part being important because for a conversion over to an SBA 504 loan, it's considered bridge financing if the original loan was less than 3 years. Since they're not ready at this point and not able to convert it yet to a 504 loan, and it is now past that 3-year point, this recommendation is to extend it out into what it normally would have been at that time, without the idea of converting it to a SBA 504 loan, to go up to, or to expand an additional 7 years up to a total of 10-year term for their current 2 loans in place, which is what we would typically do on any project that, especially that involves either equipment or real estate on that project. And we would still be able to potentially convert it into an SBA 504 loan, but we would have to do it as a refinance project instead of a regular project for the 504 loan. So it's more just trying to extend it out a bit to allow better work out of their situation as they're continuing on with their loans, on kind of how we want to address it going forward, but giving us more time to do so, and doing it in a way that is pretty consistent, kind of as Laura mentioned previously, with what we've done with other loans in similar circumstances and what we would have done at that previous time as far as a term is concerned, instead of doing it at a 3-year term with the intent of switching it over to the 504 loan. This would also, kind of as I mentioned before, they would have to bring up their interest payments before we would extend out that note. So, and also since the note at that time was done at a 2% interest rate with the EDA COVID funds, it would remain at that in order to not, first of all, we're just extending these notes, but also to not overly tax the business itself with an increased interest rate as they're attempting to make payments and attempting to right the ship as far as trying to get other tenants into their space. Happy to answer any questions, either myself or anybody else.
Also, this will include an interest-only period.
Oh, yes. Apologies for that. So we're also including, as part of this, a 6-month interest-only period for them to get back onto that point. Again, they would have to become current first, then move on a 6-month interest-only period, and then resume regular principal and interest payments after that.
Also, I'd like to add that their personal residence was impacted by the tornado.
So one of these matured, is that correct?
Both of them actually matured.
Okay, and so if, let's say everything was going fine and we were going to renew them under normal circumstances, what's our current rate? Is it back up to 4%?
It would be back up to 4%.
So are you recommending we extend these for 6 months?
It would be extending it for 7 years to match what would have been originally done if we were not considering converting them to a 504 loan. Having a term of 3 years or less was important for the 504 loan, but since we've passed that point at this point, it doesn't necessarily matter the term. So we're looking at extending it out to a term consistent with what we do with other loans that involve real estate.
Okay, so you're basically gonna renew these for 7 years at 2%, I guess is my question.
That's correct.
Okay. And I don't want to hurt the business by any means, but if normal circumstances, it wouldn't be 2%, right?
Kind of. If it was approved today, yes, it would not be 2%. That being said, since it's continuing on what we approved at that time, it would have been 2% for that 10 years back at that time. Just kind of the idea that we did not foresee that it would be a little bit more difficult at this point for the business to get stabilized and set up for a 504 loan. The intent is probably still there to convert it to a 504 loan if we can, or some other form of financing that's a bit more long-term than just the 10 years. So that way it can be a little bit more sustainable for them, and we'll be trying to work that out during that period. We had a little bit of discussion too, like should we extend it to 5 years or something like that, but ultimately this keeps us having to come back to the board if it's not after that next 2 years that we would come back again. We can still work with them in that time to try to convert it to more sustainable financing.
Okay. Any questions or discussions on this one?
I have a operations question. So do we know, so they're obviously saying that they're having problems keeping tenants. Do we know the condition of the building? Like, are the units white boxed? Is it easy for them to bring in new tenants? Are they constricted by the way the units are designed? And then lastly, and this might be for Rodney or the SLDC staff, is there any resources we can provide them? Because we might just be putting a Band-Aid on a long-term problem, right? And so if they're not able to maintain tenants, then they'll just be back here a year or two from now. So I guess that was a twofold question. One for Zach, what's the facilities like, and can they get tenants if they had the right resources from other agencies?
Yeah, so to address your first question, they've had tenants in there that have been able to work, but those tenants did not pay and did not work out for them. They have since they've got a commercial broker helping them trying to get tenants, but they're just having issues getting people into that particular spot. They're offering it at a pretty decent rate, but it's more just trying to get the right people in there and those that could be there long term and actually pay for that rent in there. But ultimately, it is ready for tenants. It just may be difficult to get them into there at least at the current moment. But they are at least working to that. And then I don't know if Daryl or Rodney would like to address the other question.
I'd been out to the property, and it is, when I was out there, it was white box ready. One of the tenants that was there, they had to evict the tenant because they found out that they were stealing the lottery money. And so in order to prevent themselves from getting involved in the situation, they evicted the tenant, and that person is under investigation. They have since also opened up that location where that convenience store was. They have now opened their own convenience store, and they're operating that to try to alleviate the situation, to get tenants in there and also generate additional cash flow for their business.
Thank you, Daryl. I'm going to offer something, then this might be abnormal, but I'm going to talk to the neighborhood manager from SLDC and see if we can get them some additional resources. You got to think there's some businesses that have been displaced, so this might be an opportunity to help other people, and maybe help this location too. So if you guys don't mind, I'm for helping them out, but I think we should tell them you got to be open to receiving some additional resources and help.
Oh, they're very open. They're looking for all kinds of help. One of the problems they also have had is getting staff. I mean, the people they get in, they seem to don't want to work, and next thing you know, they're looking for more additional people to work. So these two people are putting in a yeoman's amount of work. When Linda and I talked to Freddie Lee and Deborah yesterday, Freddie Lee just got back from Iowa delivering sauce himself. So he's been he makes the sauce one day, they packaging the sauce the next day, and the next few days, he's driving all over St. Louis and Iowa hand delivering the sauce.
Yeah, and I'll add to it as well. I think that's a great idea to talk to the neighborhood manager. And that was also as far as the businesses potentially displaced by the tornado. That was actually brought up and discussed with them at the loan committee meeting as well last week. So it is something that has been discussed with them, and hopefully it could be a good avenue to that. But yeah, it's just trying to connect them with the right people to get into the right place there.
Yeah, I'll just comment that I really appreciate the creative approach that the team is doing here, with extending it out, trying to keep it at a low interest rate, so you still continue to build a good credit record. And your suggestion, Commissioner Peebles, on getting others involved where this could be a wonderful solution for them to locate in that center. So this is the type of creative thinking we're going to need to kind of help these businesses survive and develop even a better track record financially to be able to go after even bigger loans and even grant opportunities. So thank you.
Thank you for thinking out of the box here. We have a tendency to put things in the box, and it bypasses some needs that really should be met. And I think this effort is commendable, and I appreciate you doing that.
Any other questions or discussions on this one? If not, I guess we're okay going forward with your resolution for next meeting on this one, Linda. So,
Okay, that'll be fine. Thank you.
all right, moving right along. Number 3.
And the final one for CMT roofing, I will pass this along to Daryl and Linda, as they'll be able to give a little bit more of a better explanation than I will with this particular one. So,
In April of 22, the board approved a $300,000 loan to CMT roofing. The collateral on that the money was advanced so they could buy 2 trucks and also working capital. The collateral on that was the 2 new trucks they were purchasing and $150,000 lien on their business property on Ridgewood. Last year, the board approved a subordination to St. Louis Community Credit Union in order for them to get funds to pay off some additional business debt and personal debt. And since then, July of last year, they made their last payment to us on their loan, and since then there have not been any payments. We have made several attempts to reach them by the phone, email, and actually I went out there one time myself, and with no success, no communication. A demand letter was sent out in October of last year. A second demand letter was sent out in November of last year, each time with no response. We learned earlier this year that the owner, Corey Elliott, was severely damaged and sustained substantial injuries in a house fire. We have spoken since then Linda and I with her son, Parker Elliott, who indicated that he has a power of attorney over her affairs. And the intent was to sell the building because the business was no longer in operation. They provided us with a copy of the letter of intent. It looks like there were some changes made to it. Original sale price was $500, then it was changed to $850. 2 months ago, Parker advised Linda that one of the trucks was totaled and the insurance check would be forthcoming. And the difference between that would be made up by the business to make sure that the loan was made current to the end of the year. We since have talked to him about what else could be done, and he indicated that the building was probably going, like I said, going to be sold, but most of those proceeds would be going towards to satisfy their first lien on the property, which is held by St. Louis Community Credit Union, and what's left over would be paid to us to satisfy the $150,000 lien we have on that property. And also, the plan was also to sell the other truck and provide those proceeds to pay down the loan. We talked to him after our meeting with Laura yesterday about placing a lien on assignment on the CD because Parker indicated since the business was going to be closed, the plan was to make the payments, the remaining payments, out of the interest generated from the CD that is being held. He balked at the idea of the CD being held, indicating the fact was that we knew it's going to be a shortfall in collateral because the trucks would be depreciating, and we had to simply just take it as a word that they would be making the payments from the interest, and that's where things stand. Linda, you want to add anything?
No, Parker is available to join the meeting whenever you're ready. If you have specific questions for him, I think he'll be available to answer any questions you have. But basically, he's coming to us now because before he signs a contract for the sale of the property, he wanted to be sure that LDC would be willing to release the lien, even though there's not going to be any proceeds from the sale of the property. So his proposal was to try to get enough funds to bring the loan current through the year, and then he was proposing that the payments would continue to be made through the maturity date that was originally attached to the loan, but it would be unsecured at that point.
So one thing I'm not clear of, where's this CD coming from?
The CD is what they've received for to rebuild the house. It's insurance money.
And how much is that?
Linda, do you remember what he was saying that amount was?
No, I don't know that we know the exact numbers. I mean, it sounded like there were a couple of different CDs that Miss Elliott has. I'm not exactly sure of how, but he just said there would be enough interest being made off of some CDs that he felt like the payments could be made to finish the payment on the loan.
How much is our loan?
Our loan is $216,771.64.
That's the principal balance, yeah.
Principal balance. The thing of it is, they're bringing it to us, and they want us to make the major concessions. You've got a realtor that's sitting here waiting on $51,000 at 6%, right? That's what we looked at. We've got a buyer that's sitting here wanting to buy this property, and yet we're the ones that's supposed to belly up on this. I would think that we would be able to hand it back to them and say, boys, we shouldn't be making all the concession here. If that realtor wants to reduce his commission from 6 to 4, if the buyer wants to pay a little bit more money, then that's the way it should be.
Well, Mr. Elliott's also indicated that if we do not agree to his terms, it simply would just be part of the receivership.
I don't know, as you negotiate the thing, it's just, if it's not possible, if we're the one that has to belly up on it and go from a $900,000 lien to zero to totally unsecured, and just some thoughts.
Well, we talked about it before, the whole take it or leave it thing does
Yeah,
seem
they're
right.
hand it to us, just take it or leave it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it seems like we're getting absolutely nothing. So I think this is a good place for some more creativity, I think. Seems like
Yeah, I
a
mean,
bad
the
deal
only
for us.
proceeds we'll get will be from the insurance on the two vehicles, which won't be very much. I don't know how much you
Or,
sell a used vehicle for.
maybe there's
And the other
enough.
one was total, so we'll get something, and we've got valid liens on those, right?
Well, and there was an indication that we weren't going to be able to see the whole picture. There are other funds out here in the trust or whatever they're out, but no, we can't look at that.
Yeah, he's not willing to give us a clear financial
No,
statement for our guarantor, so we
No.
don't really know.
no, we don't.
So if we do not let go of the lien, what happens?
Just some thoughts, folks.
If we don't release our lien, I guess, then they say it'll go into a receivership.
That is
So-
correct. That is correct.
So, we probably won't get anything anyway if the receiver sells a building. They have the power to do that, I think, don't they?
And then we're in second position, so you really
You're
You're not going to get much anyway.
not going to get much anyway. So
you do have her personal guarantee.
well,
Weren't they going to
something
rebuild
to give some thoughts to. That's all.
from the fire? Weren't they going to rebuild the house?
That's what we were told.
So they'd use the money from the insurance to rebuild the house, right?
I would assume, yes.
So that means there wouldn't be any money left in the CD if they're going to use that money
No.
to build a house, right?
I think there may be some other account that he's referring to as well, but again, the details, we don't really have anything in writing to know for sure. And that's why I thought, maybe easier for you just to ask questions of him if you'd like him to join the meeting and see what he has to say.
And we also discovered that Parker Elliott now has his own company that he formed in December 23, and it's called Elliott Enterprises. But we do not know what's the nature of that business. But he, like I said, he is not on record as part of the ownership. He just has our power of attorney.
Well, I don't know, Laura, I don't know how you feel. I'm not sure it's going to do any good to bring him in.
I don't think it would be either because he just stonewalls. He won't give us a
Yeah,
decent
we was
answer.
our meeting last week and we didn't really get anywhere with him. I think my thought is, say, if you tell us the amount of the CD you're talking about and you give a updated personal financial statement on the guarantor, we can revisit it maybe. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but
Well, it just irks me that when they come up and they say, we're not going to give you all the information, but we want you to give up everything you got. or maybe not everything, but a big portion of it.
Yeah, I'm not on board with being stonewalled. I don't know. Just to be the thorn in his side, I'd make him go through the process of giving the financial records and telling us what's in the CD. Hell, if you want to be petty, we can be petty too. You asked for the loan, we gave it to you. And we've been a good steward. I've been on this board for 5 years, maybe 6, and we've done hurdles for her a couple of times, and we've looked past things a couple of times. And so come on, man, work with us here. And we understand that your mother's going through something. We're empathetic to that, but you can't just walk away from business because you don't feel like dealing with it right now.
Yeah.
So that's my approach. That's me putting it on the table. Let's make them go through the process that we would make anybody else go through.
Yeah.
Well, I think we might want to check with the credit union too and see if there's anything that they're willing to concede or do with us too. I don't know.
I just think that there's some give out there that's not been tapped into. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's that. Feels like there must be some resources that they're not letting us see, and maybe we just need to find where that thread is so we can pull it and change the negotiation. But I agree. I think,
I get really aggravated with that.
yeah, it's like it feels like they're playing. It doesn't feel honest.
Yeah, and you know, the thing of it is, it's programmed to help those who have needs, and sure, we're going to have situations that come up, like what these people are in, and we want to help them to the extent that we can. But come on, folks, let's work together on it instead of trying to cram it down our throat.
So are we kind of clear on what we want to pass on to them?
Oh, if we ask for a personal financial statement from Miss Elliott and try to get additional information about the CDs that we're going to generate the interest.
They need to hear that this board is sympathetic to their situation, and we want to do what we can to move forward on it so that they can restore their lives. But when you withhold information from the board and say, well, we're not going to give you any of that, and no, this realtor, he wants his full 6%, and no, the buyer does not want to put any money in it, so it's all up to us, we get a little squeamish with that position. And how you convey that is a major key. Let them squirm, let them do some reevaluation on it. And yes, we want to hear back from them. We don't want to just throw the situation out entirely. We want to help them through it. You know, that's what we're for.
Agree, talking to the credit union is a good plan, because if they want to get their money out, they may have a better relationship or some way to speak to them to get this moving.
I don't know how they get the message across through the broker, but that broker ought to be pushing it. He's sitting there waiting on his money. Okay. What are you going to do to help make it happen?
Well, that's my point, David. Like, I think people have to be inconvenienced a little bit, right? And so even the credit union, like, they have a loan on this building. They wanted closed out too. So let's all work together to come up with a solution. To be honest, the receivership isn't a convenient route for anybody. And what might happen is the deal might go away and he might lose his real estate agent. It could cascade where he thinks he's the big dog in the room, and he actually all the chips will unravel below them. So I'm not saying let's play hardball, but like let's just make them be honest and let's make them play by the rules of everybody else would have to play by. And so I'm sure if I dig into the agreements we make them sign, we make them say that we're going to give you financial statements upon request, and I'm pretty sure all of that is in our loan agreement. So hold them accountable to that. That's legality.
I think we're all saying the same thing. I think we're all kind of in agreement here.
Yeah, we're very sympathetic to what's going on here, but come on, folks, let's help us help you.
Exactly.
So Linda, do you know kind of how to proceed on this one?
I think so. I mean, unless there's any particular documents or anything else that you want to see other than getting the personal financial statement and additional information about the CDs. And again, I think, maybe talking with the credit union and
the broker willing to take less of a percentage? Has that been brought up with them?
I have no idea what type of a relationship he has with the broker, but we can certainly try to find out what documents are already in place or what the agreements are. Like I say, I didn't receive anything until last night, and that was just that letter of intent that I'm not even sure what that means with some of the, stuff that's been crossed out on it. So yeah, this has been a situation that came up pretty quick here, and we've been trying to get what we can, but so far we just haven't been able to get a whole lot, but we're certainly willing to go back and see what we can get and,
Sure.
go from there.
All right.
I just approach it on the basis you're not helping us help you.
Understood.
Okay. Daryl, what do you think? I mean, you've been doing this a long time.
What do I think?
Huh?
Is that what you said? You've
been doing it a long time. What do you think about it?
Well, it's a workout situation, so it's definitely a different situation due to the fact you're dealing with a guy that has no ownership.
Yeah, I know.
And the person that does is incapacitated, so it's a difficult situation, but I think kind of like what Chris said, if they're not going to be forthcoming and giving us information we requested, I don't think we need to bend over backwards to accommodate this sale. We're not getting anything out of it, so I'd go back to him, Linda, and see what she can get from him.
Make us the bad guys.
Makes us the bad guy?
The board wants it.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah, we'll do what we can.
No, we're good guys.
Yeah. We're being good stewards of money meant to help other small businesses.
Right.
Yeah,
I just
that's
see
the
there's
narrative that I want
there's
to
some
make
give
everybody
out there
understand.
someplace we're not getting. That's all. Especially with information.
All right, so we done with this one?
Yes.
We move along? I guess hearing no objection to that, let's move on to Chris with the status of accounts.
You got it. I assume everyone has the financials in front of them. I sent them to you for the period ending May 31st, 2025. Got a little under $5,000 in revenues, didn't have any expenses, so all of that went to knock into that negative fund balance, and we are headed in the right direction. We're still at it's under 90,000 negative, but we have over the last couple of years we've worked our way down on that, so that's the good news. We didn't close any loans this month. Their portfolio consists of 58 loans, $9.5 million in principal outstanding on those 58. And I always divide those loans between the loans that we make out of our account and the loans that that we're the conduit on the SBA loan. So down below there is 39 in-house loans at 4.2, almost 4.3 million in principal outstanding. And then on the 19 SBA loans, you got 5.2 million outstanding on those. So the delinquency, I break it down between when you compare loans to loans outstanding and principal delinquent to principal outstanding. So if you do it on loans on the numbers, it's 8.62%. If you do it on principal, it's a 10.48%. I also have tracked for you for a long, long time what this board has written off, the loans that we've written off, actually since March of 01. We've written off 96 loans at $5 million of those 96. And we've collected on those. After we write off, we still pursue to the extent we can. We have collected fully on 21 of the 96 and 20 partially of the 96. And that amount that we've collected is 1.2 million. So your actual loss is 75 loans and it's $3.8 million. The final part of that first page is just an aging of the 58 loans. 53 of them are current. One of them is 2 months delinquent, and 4 of them are 4 months or more delinquent. And the second sheet is the financial statement. And it's proof of what I just told you, that our beginning fund balance was a negative 97. It is now a negative 88. So as I said, we're headed in the right direction. And we are able to do that. We're able to be in a negative because of the second account under liability and fund balance, that accounts payable SLDC. 207, we owe them. They are not pushing, they'd like that money, of course, but they're not going to shut us down for that. So we're able to run at a negative. And the quicker we get that into a positive, the better we'll all feel about it. I got the next 2 sheets is just the funds that you all lend out, loans that you approve, and the checks that I cut for the borrowers, and it's at almost $4.5 million, as I said earlier in the meeting. And we don't have anything. I took off those Kevin Bryant loans. They didn't look like they were going to go anywhere, and they were past the time of having to reapprove them anyway. We did not approve any in-house loans today. So your 4.5 or 4.499 million is available in the bank and ready to lend. And the 4.99, I break it down for you on this next sheet. We got the repayment of I listed the COVID 2019 relief payments. That's the newest EDA program. Then we got the EDA repayment pool and the Metro, which is down below the First Bank. Those are 2 old EDA loans that have lost. I really can change the name on those. They've lost their federal flavor. We don't report anymore to those. They've been defederalized. So those we're running them similar to how we ran them before, but the board can make changes to that program, both the EDA and the Metro, as they see fit, and the cash is available, as I said, to lend. We got a First Bank loan. That's the program where we put some money in, and First Bank put some money in, and we lent it out. And now we have 117 grand available to relend. So those funds are available. We have the LDC RLF program. That is actually the local portion of some defederalized dollars of the EDA program. So the EDA, if they defederalize something or take some dollars back, they only take back what they gave you. So we had local money that we had matched that we, of course, got to keep. Well, we were going to continue to revolve that. So that's part of the LDC. And then UEL is a state program that we had years ago, and we have $311,000 available in that program to lend out. And then our famous Downtown Parks Match Grant Fund of $3,600 is money we got 15 years ago for a now no longer operating not-for-profit. They gave it to us to to handle because we met a similar mission, I guess. But it's not money really to lend out. I guess I could mix it in, but it's money that we gotta spend if we can come up with a good idea. Those are the funds available. The final three sheets are really the funds outstanding, the loans outstanding. And I break it down for you between block grant, CDBG, non-CDBG, that's everything else, all other in-house loans, and then the SBA program. You got city design that's delinquent. That's an old Bernard Symington loan, and had asked to put a moratorium on his payment, and we asked for some information, and when I went to debit his account, the account was, I don't know if it was closed or if it's NSF, but it's now closed. So I don't have access to those dollars or attempting to get those dollars. I know Linda's planning to get together with him. She's always willing to accept anyone on the board that would like to sit in with that meeting and whatever demands we can put on her.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, Chris, and I think that's kind of close to a dead soldier. So I'm
Yeah.
familiar with him.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Not sure we're going to get anywhere with that.
Right. I like what Christopher said before, in that even if we're not going to get anything, I don't think we should make it easy for them to get out of something.
Right.
You do what you can legally to make it as uncomfortable to encourage them to pay what they can.
Right.
Maybe we only get 10 cents on the dollar, but we get something. We just don't let them walk away if possible.
Yep.
The second sheet, those are the in-house non-CDBGs, and we talked about a couple of them, and we got a somewhat of a plan. Better weekdays, I'm being a little, what do I say? That's really not a delinquent loan, if you will. It's a loan that we recast, and we gave them a stair-step period of time to pay back the loan. We said, if you do it within 1 year, you pay back this amount, 2 years, and we gave them 5 years to pay back the loan. So actually, up to 2029, I'm sorry, they would have to pay the loan back. But based on what I'm hearing, it doesn't look good. So I wanted you all to be aware of it. If you want me to take it off the report, I can do that, but wanted to let you know where they stood. And then Earthbound Brewing, I think again, it's Linda's intent to meet with them, but I also understand that loan is, that business is closed. Those are the in-house loans, and I always like to get to the last sheet because our SBA program is in good shape at this point, no delinquents, and everybody's paying. So it's a portfolio of 19 loans and 5.2 in principal outstanding on those, and if they would all operate that well, it'd make my job a lot easier. That's all I have on the report.
Any questions for Chris? If not, we'll move on to the status of accounts. No, we just, for the update on the 504 and other loan activity, I guess, Zach, that's you.
Yes. So as of right now, we currently have 4, all of them are 504 loans that are in the closing status that we're trying to get across the finish line. That's about 2 million or 2.25 million with those, or between those 4. Looking ahead, we've got 2 loans that we're trying to get before all of you all. Both of those also 504 at 1.5 million between the 2 of those. So hoping at least one of those I'll be bringing to you this next meeting. If not that, probably the meeting after that in August. So working on trying to get that one, starting to slowly getting documents. But as you guys are probably all pretty familiar, sometimes it takes a long time to get all the documents in for these. But I also want to say too that we're working on trying to get presentations out in front of bankers. You guys all might have received an invite for our presentation next week. We're doing a 504 training for bankers at our office in Clayton on Wednesday morning. So if you could be there, that'd be awesome, and you get to hear us get all nerdy about the 504 program and our other programs too. So with that being said, too, if you have any banks or any other type of organizations that we can come out and give more educational seminars on our program, so different organizations can feel better about using us for 504 and other financing programs, we'd be happy to do that. So, but yeah, happy to answer any questions you guys have on any of our pipeline or anything else that we're working on.
What kind of fees do we get on these SBA 504s?
So the CDC fee on the 504 is 1.5% that goes back to us.
So on the 2.5 million, we'd get 1.5% of that.
Correct.
Okay, well, that's pretty substantial.
It sure is. And the other thing is that you also get a monthly service fee. So it's an upfront amount, and then monthly you're getting money. So it's great to do the deals.
Yeah. Any questions for Zach?
None, but I don't believe I've seen the invite you were talking about, Zach.
Okay, I'll make sure that gets over to you.
Thank you.
All right. I don't believe we have any other business or need for a closed session. So next meeting, July 10th, I guess we'll get notified of that.
I have a comment.
Sure.
Well, I really appreciate the activity. It shows your guys are out there making things happen. You know?
Yeah.
And finding ways to help increase the business vitality of this community. And I think that's a part of what we're supposed to be.
Yep. Agreed. All right. If nobody else has anything, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Seeing you next week, next month.
Yes, sir.
All right.